Yeah, so this is really like the main reason why we set Rewilding Youth up. So young people were telling us they felt enclosed, they felt very unsafe being outside, so they were not accessing outdoor spaces very much because they felt very, places in Hull particularly were very unsafe, they didn't feel happy being out there. We kind of read quite a lot about how young people are enclosed, and this is what we're really trying to do is get rid of this feeling of enclosure and introduce people to this feeling of freedom, which sounds very idealistic, but why not? Okay, so the project's informed by a lot of kind of theoretical underpinnings. So we're really influenced by people like John Dewey, Henry Giroux. So there's a lot of, if anyone's interested in the kind of like the theory behind it, please get in touch and we'll let you know some of that. We get outside a lot. We do a lot of work in woods. We don't have a specific space in which we work. We are based on East Hull Community Farm, but we do tend to be peripatetic, so we'll move around Hull and East Riding, North Yorkshire, Lake District. We'll just go kind of wherever the space, we can find the best spaces. So if anybody wants to learn more about why we do what we do and kind of the theory behind it, then please get in touch and we'll pass some of these readings and writings on to you. Some of the other organisations that we work really close with, Rewilding Education, which was set up by somebody who used to work at the University of Hull, actually, Dr. Max Hope. So she's really helped us in developing some of the kind of pedagogy we work to, and we work really closely with them. So that's a great website if you want to have a look at that. So basically, let's just look at some pictures because you don't want to listen to us, well, me rattling on. Go on, Les, let's swap places.
Yeah, so over the last, we're coming up 18 months, we've worked with many different youth organisations, community groups, schools as well. So this particular photo is with we've worked with 4 different alternative provisions. This is one of them. Yeah, and we sometimes get this thing where the teacher's been there, pupils alone, and they're there because of behaviour, whatever reason that they're there, and all of a sudden we're teaching them some of the skills pretty much linked to forest school, but it's slightly different. So when we're teaching the skills of bushcraft, which is, you know, using whittling knives, bow saws and stuff like that, you can actually see the dread on some of the teachers' faces. But it's the impact that this has on some of the young people. Because they're constantly told they're not going to probably achieve anything, you know, they're getting told off from school all the time. When they come with us, it's all about youth empowerment. So one of the main approaches we do is all around youth work. So everything we do is all based on youth work principles, whereas forest school's slightly different, still really effective, but it's more on play, whereas ours is very much formed by youth work, which is youth empowerment. This is our lovely Celtic roundhouse that was built last year. Do you want to speak a little bit more about the roundhouse?
Yeah, I can do. So we were really lucky to get some funding through the Youth Investment Fund. That was all about building youth centres for young people. So we didn't want a youth centre that was going to contain young people inside, because this was the problem with the young people we were working with. They didn't like being inside. So we got in touch with the BUCI, the Earth Building UK and Ireland Foundation, and they sent some amazing people up to us who worked with us to build this gorgeous cob and cordwood roundhouse, which is situated at the top of East Hull Community Farm. So it's a beautiful space. You know, we'd welcome anybody who would like to come and visit with us. It might be a nice space. Thinking about fit mums in the future, you know, if you wanted to work there, you'd be more than welcome. It's an open space, it's public, it's kind of open to everybody. So we do loads of work, we do loads of storytelling. A lot of our work's based around storytelling. We encourage young people to tell their own stories, and that's linked in with the research we've been doing with the Ideas Fund. We invite people into the roundhouse. We do a lot of traditional crafts. So this is willow charcoal making. We teach people to kind of make things and play with things and create things from what's around us. It's very much about not buying things in. We don't use any kind of plastic or reusable. Well, no, everything is reusable. So this is just an example of chucking some, I think this was hazel, but either willow or hazel in a tin, burning it, and then we can draw with it and do some mark making. This is an Adobe brick making workshop that we did with Ibuki. So we've got a group of really interested and committed people, adults as well, who work with us. So this is teaching people about earth building skills, which there's no better way really to connect yourself and young people to the world and to the earth that they live on, is by actually working with it and making things out of it. So we're building a community kitchen at the moment using some of these Adobe bricks. You want to talk a little bit about this, Les?
This is the wattle and daub. So again, it's another traditional craft. I think some of you might see it as maybe willow fence making. It's very similar, same kind of skill. I think again the thing for us is about teaching some of the young people, especially from the inner estates, from your deprived backgrounds and things like that. It's about raising aspirations and broadening horizons. Now some of these young people might not want to get into wattle and daub, but it's what they get from it. It's, you know, this is a skill in itself which takes a lot of resilience, and it means that they've got to sit there and they've got to be really resilient and they've got to, you know, create something like this. So it's what they get out of doing some of these activities. But hopefully for us, in, I don't know, 5 years' time, it might be that some of the young people who are showing these photos, we're no longer part of Rewilding Youth and they're the ones that are leading on this. This is kind of one of the aims that we're trying to build to.
I think it encourages self-reliance as well, so young people don't necessarily have to go to B&Q to buy materials. It's a lot cheaper. Yeah. They can build things from what's around them. Humber Forest, this is another project we're a part of, which again has been facilitated through our involvement with the Ideas Fund. So we plant trees, so if anybody owns any land, they need some tree planting, come to us, we can access trees, and it's a fantastic project. We work with schools, we work anywhere really, farmers, landowners, and we plant trees with young people. We employ young people to do that planting who have previously been unemployed. So, yeah, just some examples of what we do really. We do a lot of beach school work as well, so we go into beaches, local beaches. A lot of young people who we work with in Hull have not been to, even though we live so close to the East Yorkshire coastline, have not actually been to the beach, so we do that. We go to local villages, and the local villages absolutely love us when we turn up and start splashing around in the pond, don't they?
Yeah, and screaming.
We do a lot of green woodwork as well, so this is somebody, I think, they're splitting hazel. Oh, sorry. So this is just an example of, I might need the volume turned down a little bit. This is just an example of how sometimes the young people we work with are very challenging behaviour, and it's kind of like just a demonstration that in a school, this would be totally vetoed. This young person might be excluded, you know, has to leave for the day, put in isolation. So I think it's really interesting to show that this idea of being wild and letting young people do what they want to do is effective, but all of our facilitators do really work really well with young people to encourage that, particularly Colin. So here's an example. So I think our lovely facilitator Colin's having a bit of a better time there than the young people.
Yeah, he's currently with 30 kids. It's called Wild Families. It's another project that we run. So he's out there in the thunder and rain at the minute with 30 kids and all the parents. So yeah, he's having fun. But he's an amazing facilitator, is Colin. I think if you looked us up on, if you're on Instagram or Facebook, and you actually see some of the videos with Colin, you'd see why he's got such a really good relationship with young people.
Yeah, so here we're making traditional fishing spears. We do a lot of wild camps as well. This was in just a woodland near Hornsea. We work with a lot of young people with ADHD and autism, and we find that being outside works really well with them. This was the first group of Kickstarters that we employed. So this was 9 young people who were previously unemployed. They'd been kind of in and out of jobs. They were all claiming benefits. And we got an award from the DWP Job Centre Plus for being the project in Hull which had the highest kind of progression rate in terms of being able to get young people into jobs and also maintaining their position with us. They were with us for 6 months. So building a willow dome. We work with a lot of, this is Graham Johnson, he's like so talented, he's amazing, but he works locally. We've just got some fantastic people who work with us locally who really, really engage with the young people. We've got case studies on all the young people we work with. So, for example, Dale, he was unemployed. He was he's agreed for us to use his case study. He's kind of quite heavily into drug use and came from a very chaotic background. What's that mean?
What does that mean again?
Does that mean shut up? Yeah, it does, doesn't it? So anyway, Dale's done really well. So, and food, that's such a massive thing that we do. We just eat, can't you tell by me, Les? But we just eat, sorry, not you, Les, just me.
Well, no.
Everything's based around food. It's all plant-based, so we don't eat meat. We teach the young people to eat really healthy, plant-based food. It's all cooked, so we do a lot of cooking. That's why we're building a...
And it's also, we're teaching them our cooking skills as well, so it's not so much cooking on a fire, it's how you cook on a fire and what the coals are used for, what the flames are used for. So it's all these skills that are... What we want to do is teach them that they can then take home and cook the same stuff on a gas flame. So there's so many outcomes we want to get from this for young people. That's not just about... It is being about being in the woodland and being free and stuff like that, but it's what they can take away with them as well, so... Yeah.
So lastly, we'll have to do this really quickly. So we've been really, really lucky to get an Ideas Fund extension to the project. So we've got another 12 months funding, which we're so happy about. We're going to be doing lots of things. These are the 3 main ones. We'll be running 12 rewilding research roadshows so across Hull, and these are all to find out the barriers to young people engaging with the outdoors in Hull. And it's very much an environmental activist project, so it's about young people being disruptive, about looking at how they can really challenge those barriers, what can they do about it. So that's not written yet, we don't know how they're going to do that, we don't know how they're going to respond to that, but they're going to be supported by 2 youth researchers who we're currently employing at the moment. We're working closely with local youth organisations, looking at people who we've already worked with. And then we'll have a filmmaker supporting the whole journey. So next time we see you, next year, we'll show you a nice film. I think that's it. Yeah, if you want to get in touch with us at Rewilding Youth, we're really active on social media. And then we've got a website as well, so you can contact either myself or Les if you'd like to. That's it. Thank you.
Okay.